Hello, it's the biggest big homie Blocks, and yes, sir, I'm tuned in to Camera Speed Podcast. Y'all tune in and turn up with us. Hello.
What's up? What's up? It's Justin Carter here from the Shade Room TSR Investigate. You're watching Camera Speed Podcast.
Welcome to Camera Speed, your fast track to all things TV and film production. Whether you're behind the camera, in the editing bay, or dreaming of getting your first shot, this podcast is your go-to for production techniques, equipment reviews, the latest industry news, and behind-the-scenes stories straight from the set. Each episode, we'll dive deep into the craft of visual storytelling, from mastering camera movements and sound design to exploring the latest gear shaping our industry. This is the Camera Speed Podcast.
What's good, people? New week, same show, new topics.
What up, though?
I'm here with my good homies, still talking about cameras, production, news shows, industry news, and first and foremost, we are jumping into everything we all love, new gear. There are some amazing new lenses out. The Arri Enso Prime Lenses. It's probably out of our budget, but it doesn't matter. It's not what's important.
It's a good deal.
We're going to jump straight into our resident gearhead, unrealistic lens purchaser.
I don't care. Call me what you want. Call me what you want.
Mike, we see the specs on these. I mean, bruh, incredible lenses, amazing capabilities. It's labeled as an emerging filmmaker set, starting at 90 bands. So it's clearly a resourceful set.
Right from my mother's wallet.
Emerging filmmakers.
All right.
Mike, give us the lowdown on these lenses. How amazing are they? Who are they made for? And how soon are you going to be purchasing these lenses?
So let me first start off by saying that Arri has done something that they have not done in quite a very long time. The Arri Enso lenses are literally like the poor man's version of the Master Signature Primes or anything in their Arri Master series in terms of lenses. So what you're getting is an entire set of lenses that is a little bit of a sticker shock for, like the average, prosumer user.
Are you the poor man?
I get that. But if you
said the poor man.
But I mean, if you do dollars to cents, like, the average person can't pay for, a brand new Arri 35 or an Alexa 35, right? So if you have the money to basically purchase an Alexa 35, you're now able to say, okay, well, if I've got the money to pay for an Alexa 35, I can now get the Enso set, which is going to look just as good, if not in some cases, depending on your taste, better than what I would get with the Signature Primes, because they have more character. They are literally like a close focus. I'm talking about you're able to put the camera from where on a normal, prosumer lens, you gotta be back here to try and, maintain your focus. They're saying, oh no, you can focus right here. I mean, come on.
It's a macro lens too?
Like it's damn near a macro lens. It's not advertised as a macro lens, but I mean, it's damn near. I mean, it's got a magnification ratio of 1.4. That's an incredible leap for any lens kit in the world. And we're talking about the same features that you would normally get on like a Signature Prime, where you've got the ability to add filters and different things like that on the back of the focus. So those things are like incredible advances that you're getting in an entire set. And again, yeah, $90,000 is a lot of money, but I'm thinking about the disruption of the culture in terms of what you're able to do with rental houses, what you're able to do in competition for Cook, because I mean, most of us has worked on Cook lenses before. Cook glass, they've got that character, they've got that great quality, they've got that thing where it's like, okay, that was shot on a Cook. You're now able to see that come through on Arri glass, which is lighter. It's got, all of the glass is literally the exact same size. So you don't have to worry about your focus puller having to change out the motors and all this other kind of stuff. You can pop a 35, or not a 35, but I'm sure it's probably like a 32 in a kit, but whatever size that they have on that kit is going to be the exact same size all the way through. And that in itself, the time saving and the advances in the technology, the value is incredible. It's an incredible value. Now, again, it's not for everybody. I can't say that enough. You know what I mean? Because $90,000.
I don't want to go crazy.
Yeah.
You can go rent that at your local rental house. I'm sure probably gonna run you $500-$600. You know, it's every lens is attainable, but just that sticker price is wild. But Mike, the weather sealing, how much of a game changer?
Oh, the weather sealing aspect is a total game changer. I have a set of lenses right now. I love this set. I love the lenses. I love the look. I love the character of them. But weather has gotten into them, and you can literally feel it as you're trying to pull focus, and it is gritty and it's hard and everything like that.
For anybody who doesn't know the issue of a lens going from cold to hot or hot to cold, give them a quick breakdown on what could happen with any given lens.
So at any given moment, you could be on a set. You could be shooting in a place like, I don't know, Nova Scotia, okay? You could be shooting in a place that has an extreme climate or, you know, extreme hot temperatures or different things like that. The weather sealing on that protects not only the lens element, but it protects you from having to protect the lens element. So again, those are cost-saving things that you don't have to worry about trying to secure whenever you're renting these lenses. And I think personally that's an incredible value. Not to mention, you know, all the other great aspects of it, you know, just the fact that it's an Arri lens alone, and they've done nothing but create, you know, stellar and absolutely amazing work. I cannot personally wait to get my hands on these lenses to really, really try them out. The fact that they have that, you know, vintage glass character to them, I'm really, really interested in that, because Arri are known for having what we like to call very clinical, clean lenses, so that you can sort of do what you want to do with them, you know, between adding the filters or adding any type of, you know, variations to the lenses. These lenses actually have like some distinct character to them, so you know that you're shooting on the Enzos when you get them.
Say less. We are all looking forward to grabbing those lenses and affordable.
No,
Right.
you know, I would love to use them for sure. Okay. But I feel like the biggest thing for me when it comes to lenses is that nowadays it's y'all gonna probably try to kill me for this. It don't fucking matter what it is now. It really don't. Yeah. If there's a look that you really want, I'm sure there's an app for that. Like, click. All right, I want it to look like this. I want this to have some character. All right, so open it up in After Effects or whatever type of editing software that you have. I'm sure CapCut has a fucking filter on it.
You sound too much like, okay, for those who don't know, who's never worked with me before, I have a curse word. We'll fix it in post.
It's not
You
about
say
fixing
fix
it
it
in
in post, I am literally getting ready to walk off your set.
But
You
that's
got
not
two
the
more
thing,
times.
though. It's not fixing it in post. It's making it in post.
But
Because-
why make it in post when you can make it in person?
Because most of the films nowadays are made in post anyway.
Ah.
It don't matter. I'm gonna come on the set. Like I said, I just shot a movie on Blackmagic Pocket Pros with nothing but blue everywhere. And when you see this movie, you're gonna think it was shot on an Alexa with some Master Primes, because the visual effects people on that movie are absolutely fucking incredible. That's the only thing at this point. It don't matter if you got a team, you got a computer that's strong enough to handle all the crazy ideas that you have. As long as you got the metadata and you got the information in there, it really don't matter what you shot it on.
But why give that extra work to a team when you can go in like Greg Fraser did with Batman and say, I want it to look like this. And I have a guarantee that it's going to look like this without someone trying to create this look for me.
That's fine. That's fine. You can
That
do
is
that.
what these lenses are for. That is what any lens package is for. Now, cameras, totally different conversation. You know what I mean? Every camera can, a camera is a tool is a tool.
What's more important, the lens or the camera?
To me, for me personally, it's going to be the lens. Always, always, always it's going to be the lens. Because the glass is your eyeball. The lens is your brain. And I don't care how great your brain is. Like right now, I have my glasses off. I took my glasses off. I can't see shit. Okay, I'm just being real. But I know that I could take my prescription glasses and I can put them on, or I could take my glasses that I work with in front of my computer and I can put them on, and there's going to be a stark difference. And that is, to me, the most important thing. That's the reason why lenses cost the way that they do or set up the way that they do, because at the end of the day, the quality of the glass that you're shooting on is just as important as the quality of the light that you're using to produce.
What if I can get you LASIK?
Then I will say, shut your whore mouth, and I will keep it moving. But maybe I don't want to see that clear.
Maybe I don't want to see.
Maybe I don't want to see. Maybe I like being blind.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate a lot because
Right.
I do love lenses.
Yeah.
But I do honestly believe that in this day and age, not to say that they're not necessary, but they're not as necessary as once was. Like when you were shooting on film, right, and what you shot on the film is what appeared, there wasn't a lot of post-process you can do to make it look different. But nowadays, you can shoot something on your iPhone and you can put it up against an Alexa with some signature primes, and if you got somebody that knows how to color, you're not going to be able to see a difference.
This shit is all objective. You could be a nobody with an agency connection, get on for a commercial, know nothing about real production, hire a DP, and he makes all the decisions for you. You take the credit at the end of the day. It's such a, you know what I mean? Like if I go see Deadpool, my son is not like, oh, that was Master Primes, like, oh shit, like, you're saying I think it's. I love new gear. I do think it's used to separate opportunities for certain people at certain times. You know what I mean? Like to a certain degree, like I agree with Cliff to a certain degree. Like the DP or the relationship gets you the job, not the lens of knowledge. It's still a who you know networking game at the end of the day. It has nothing to even do with the equipment. You know what I mean? 'Cause
in the case of Atlanta, who knows you? Let's be real.
True. Very true. You know what I mean? So I like all this new gear. I just, whether I'm on set shooting a major film with some Cooks or some Arris or some Fuji, it's, I like to have the budget to make those decisions. You know what I mean? Regardless
That's
of the
the
fact.
thing, right? That's the
but
thing,
at that
too.
point, you can choose whatever you want. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
let me ask my fellow gearhead, because y'all on this side, Carlos. I need to know what is your thoughts on this glass, like for real.
I think y'all all crazy.
All right, so I'm rocking solo. Okay.
No, I think it's a mental shift. I think we get to a point where we think we have to own everything, and we push that knowledge on a lot of people, saying, "Oh man, the newest lens, gotta buy it. Newest camera, gotta buy it." Truthfully, you ain't gotta buy it. So I don't think Arri made a affordable lens. I think they made a conscious intention to make a lens that is not as heavy and is not as reliant on huge crews. And I think that's why you'll see that push for smaller lenses now. I think it keeps up with the standard and the quality of Arri.
Yeah.
Or like you like to say Arri, I say Arri, but you do have a pillow right behind your shoulder right now. So you know.
Judge my pillow, man.
But no, I think intentionality is probably the most important thing. I think Arri's still going to support, their level of gear that people rent. So they know that younger people have more access to, Alexa Mini, Alexa LF, but might not have the access to the lenses or the amount of crews that they need for those lenses, I think it's better to put them in small form factor. Obviously, their price point is still, unattainable. So I think that's where that comes from. As far as you, Cliff, like, bro, I think it's important for lens. I think we got into a position where it's just capturing. And I think, in our last podcast last week, we talked about, content creation and filmmaking. I think filmmaking is more intentional to what you want to look at. Content is more, man, let me do it. And it just makes it look good. And even if I shoot it poorly, I can go and post and try to, fix it, correct it, or create this desired look that I want. But I think there is an intentionality for lenses and selecting lenses. And I think because we all started with the mindset we need the camera first, that really the imaging from the lenses is kind of like show you the difference. So if you got a Helios, lens that gives you this 1960s look versus a Arri signature that's going to give you the cleanest look, your Netflix look. Like all of them on Netflix are using pretty much the same 3 lenses.
Yeah.
It's either Arri Zeiss Master Prime, now the Arri signatures.
Yep.
And then
Cooks.
I like the Cook
The S4s.
look.
S4s is always going to be in that mix.
Even
Helios-
the
Helios
SP3s
is
though.
coming.
Now, if you want to talk about budget friendly, the SP3s
The
from
SP3s
Cooks are $21,000 for
Yeah.
a set, but they made them to look like photo stills. So with the photo stills, that's an intentionality of saying, okay, I know I got young cats are shooting, and the cooks are usually like 5 pounds,
Right.
before you even get into anamorphic or anything like that. So I think that was specific for the prosumer to own and have a low rental. But I think the Enzos are still that high quality.
Yeah.
I think it's better suited for production,
But
smaller productions.
it's a good thing to see companies like Arri doing that.
Took a while, though.
When they're sitting there and they're like, okay, we can give you that high end quality for half the cost in an entire set of just one of our lenses. That's crazy to me. That's bananas. And I gotta admire them for that. Now, again, I'm not even going to dispute the fact that they are pretty expensive, but in comparison to an entire set of Cook S4s, it's not even close. It's not even a contest.
I think for any filmmaker out there, I think the most important thing is to really take your time to research and learn all these lenses. Some of your local rental houses will allow you access to these lenses, depending on if it's slow season or your relationship with them. So I think feel free to make these calls. Try to go in and get a look at some of this gear. If it's a busy time, I highly doubt you're gonna have that situation. But feel free to check in, ask. You really want to be able to be prepared for an opportunity or for a job if it comes along to say, I want to make these lens choices. I want to be knowledgeable and be the best DP, camera op, camera department, whatever you can be on set, ACs as well. So price regardless, stay knowledgeable, stay prepared, and I think that's the best thing you can always possibly do. Moving forward into our next segment, we've had some really dope past episodes, and most importantly, we've had some really amazing engagement from the audience and from some of our viewers. We wanted to jump into a few comments and take time as a team to respond to some of them, give our own feedback and insight on what you all have been saying to us. James, if you had 1 or 2 comments that stood out to you in the past couple of weeks, what's one comment that you got?
Well, let me pull it up. I finally get to speak because that other segment was not my man.
My testimony. Audio. I was over there looking like, you gonna say something about these lenses, Chad?
Nope. Not at all.
Talk about this Sennheiser, though.
Right. I mean, yeah, you want to talk about tentacles? Tentacles drop some. We'll talk about it later. But yes, we had a couple of conversations previously that got a lot of engagement, especially when it comes in terms of the relationships or being in a relationship in filmmaking. I'm gonna recite this. So Brittany Nicole She wrote, I had to leave production. I think it's harder for a woman to date and start a family if they didn't come in production already in a relationship. 12 plus hour days is insane. Or you end up dating someone in production, which is not a bad thing either, but I wanted more flexibility with your time you can't get back. And that is so true.
Yeah.
I've got a 6-month-old. So a lot of my decisions focus on like, all right, you know, how am I going to be able to have the time to spend with him, watch him grow up? Because, you know, a month on set, that's a month of milestones that I'm missing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, having that trade-off and really trying to figure out where it is that you're going to put your time, especially if you, like she said, like she started a family and came into production already. Like it is not a good time to start a family if you're thinking about this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You either need to have older kids, or you know, you need to maybe not be thinking about kids. But
I had all 3 of mine during it. So
was it by design?
define design. Like planned?
Well, I mean, like,
I
was
go on
it?
a podcast and tell everybody my children?
I'm not.
Damn, James.
No.
Oh.
What I mean is, like, I know you didn't set up to say, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to work on these shows, and in this time period, I'm going to have this child, and in that time period, I'm going to have that child. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think any sane person would say, I'm going to choose a career where majority of my life is spent elsewhere and start a family and try to have someone who depends on me 24/7. It just it doesn't make sense. And if you are doing that,
Stop it.
Don't do that.
But I think, so to your point, absolutely, you're absolutely right. If you're having a thought process that it's even feasible, right? So I didn't go into my relationship. Well, I was already in the production world when I started my last relationship, my current marriage now. But at that point, it wasn't like, oh man, I'm working 12-hour days. Hey, let's have a baby now. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, well, we're pregnant.
and now we make it
And
work.
now we have to make it work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's part of the idea of like trying to figure it out. So I get definitely not going into it being like, yeah, I can't wait to have these babies while I'm working every day, all day, and never being home. Because that actually sucks. You know what I mean? That part of it, I think people don't necessarily truly understand. Like, even in a relationship, right? My wife and I have different thoughts about that as well. So it's like, oh, you're out there, you know, living your dream. And it's just like, you don't think I want to be at home with the baby?
Carrying C-stands up
Yeah, like,
flights of stairs at midnight.
like,
This is the
like,
dream.
This isn't fun and games all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this portion of us sitting here for the hour that we're talking, but it took us 2 hours to do all this. And it's just like, that part of it, coming in, bringing in C-stands, setting up lights, setting up cameras, setting up lenses, setting up the ATEM, like, that's a whole different job in itself.
And it
So,
took 10 years.
yeah,
to get all this
get
stuff,
to that,
you
yeah,
know?
to even get to this point right now. So that's like it's all the relationship stuff goes into like this big pot of what do you think is right for you, right? So I mean, a lot of people do come into this. People want to have families. People want to have kids, but you also have to understand, I chose a career path that requires me to not be here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough. So
But
you
I mean,
gotta have
isn't
somebody-
that like the quintessential life of an artist though? When you really think about it, like no one sits there and it's like, okay, I'm gonna be an artist and I'm gonna have a family and I'm gonna raise kids and I'm still gonna spend time. No, you're thinking about, okay, I want to be an artist, and that's kind of like, that's the give and take of the chance that you make when you decide that, you know, you want to pursue a career in the arts. Is that, you know, dedication to the arts means that you have dedicated yourself to something that you love. There's a lot of music producers, music artists, different things like that, all on the other side of what we do, who are literally doing the exact same thing, having to make the exact same decisions all the time. And they don't think about, okay, now I'm going to take time to make a kid. No, it's like, okay, the kid comes, cool. I'm still going on tour next week, though. You know, a cinematographer that, you know, Carlos and I are very big fans of, Rachel Morrison. She's, you know, proud of the 2 kids that she carried through productions. You know what I mean? And when you see things like that, you know, if you are a person who is, you know, trying to weigh the balance of, you know, do I have kids, or do I take time to make a family and everything like that? I look at a person like that as an example of, yeah, you can do it all. You can 100% do it all. You just have to find a way of basically balancing that out. So I'm grateful for the question, like, you know, that, you know, someone would even ask that, because it's an important issue.
My biggest thing with that response was just the perspective, hearing that perspective from a woman in the industry.
Absolutely.
I think, you know, we spend time as men in the industry. You have your own personal perspective. I would never have expected to hear a woman not being able to continue her career with a issue like that. So, I mean, it was refreshing, sad at the same time, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just another example of like what we sacrifice, I guess, to be a part of this. But thinking you have to make a transition because you can't have a family, or even there was something about jealousy or whatever. It was eye opening. I was like, damn, like, right, you know what I mean? And then it's interesting because the past few years I've definitely made a push, you know, to hire more women on crews and stuff like that, and to have more equity for our female homegirls in the game. But I'm not gonna say it was heartbreaking, but having to hear somebody go through this was definitely like a sad response. But you know, if there's change to be made, cool. Like, I'm not sure what that is, but it was definitely an eye-opening comment for sure. So. Absolutely. If I had a comment that resonated with me, it was from Rachel Neal. Stop asking or waiting for permission. The power lies within. And I think that was in reference to Carlos had an amazing comment just to kind of about like not waiting on content creation, doing your own thing. He referenced Robert Townsend and the Wayans brothers. And then I thought it was dope. It's just like, yeah, we're really in that industry of like, you have to go create your own thing, whether it's this podcast, whether it's our own series. Like, I feel like we're constantly waiting for approval.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like whether it's a film festival or a client or a pitch, like you're always waiting on somebody to, I like this, here's a check. And a lot of times people who are most successful aren't waiting on anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was a really dope like response and feedback on that. But taking things into your own hands and making it happen is clearly the best mode right now, especially where we are in the future of the industry. So.
Yeah. And I love that comment because it's literally something that I say to people all the time. And when I think about, we're always in this mode of validation. Like, you know, we're you know, hey, what do you think of this? Oh, tell me, what do you think? It's good, right? It makes you happy. And like a lot of times, you know, especially as indie filmmakers, we'll get, you know, new producers, new people that'll come into our lives who they wrote their very first script. And Grandma and Auntie TT said it was the greatest thing that they ever read in their entire life. So now they're going to make it into a film. And we have to sit there and go, yeah, I'm not in love with it and everything like that, but do you, boo? And a lot of times that rejection causes them to have pause. Like, I've had a lot of rejection in my life. I've had a lot of rejection about the things that I want to do, you know, like, you know, the science fiction or, you know, the horror, the fantasy stuff that I want to shoot. And I find myself again in that situation where it's like, okay, I got to go out in here and do it. So when I hear somebody like, you know, Rachel, who fantastic actor, you know, I haven't had an opportunity to work with her, but I've definitely seen her work. Like, when I see someone like that say stop asking for permission, like that resonates with me. That holds very true. So yeah, I appreciate that comment.
Yeah, man, rejection part of the game. It's part of the game.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't be in this game if you don't have thick skin. Man, half the time you'll be happy to hear somebody tell you no. The rest of the time you just never hear anything.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Like at least a no.
I'll take the feedback.
I can take a no email. Like a no, I don't have to turn around and keep looking at you and going, hey, you get that thing I sent you? Like, yeah, man.
I feel like we are getting into that space. I don't know what it's been about filmmaking for me, in a sense of when I was younger, I just didn't care.
Right.
I had no cares at all. We made whatever we wanted whenever we felt like it. And we made dumb stuff, and we made cool stuff, and we made smart stuff, and it was just like, yeah, whatever. We'll make it. We're gonna host a film festival. We're gonna do all type of stuff. And now I'm like, if I put something out, it has to take care of me and my family.
Right.
And it has to start a legacy.
That's because you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed back
Bro,
then.
right?
No. And I've been beat down 20 years, boy, and then kicking my ass. No, it's just like, that's the part of it, man. It's like, it's such a thing. And that's the thing we were talking about before about like content creators, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a fuck.
Right.
They just record shit and
I respect
put it out.
I respect the lack of
They
fucks
don't
given, bro.
care.
I'm just like, look at this dope ass content. They give no fucks.
None.
It's out, and you have an agency or a brand who's like, I'm gonna put some fucking money behind this. It's just like, meanwhile, we're over here pouring over into, you know, our scripts and final draft, and it's like,
There's a content creator that I love. It's my something. I don't know, but like she puts out the most weird shit that she can think of, and she'll even reference that in the skits. And you're like, what am I even writing? This is weird. And she puts it out, hundreds of thousands, millions of views, and it's so like niche that if you understand, if you know how to bridge those gaps, it's the funniest shit in the world. Mm-hmm. And I love content creators like that who don't follow the mold of just ass and titties or cheating or whatever the, you know what I'm saying, the generic content is. Like, they really go out and they do their own thing.
Yeah, it's very true.
So, yeah.
last comment. Queen of Quirky. Definitely best to stay in one or two lanes. If everyone is focused on one thing, everyone can give their full attention to putting their all into that one need, making for a better project as a whole. I read this earlier and I got some pushback. I was like,
I think that's what untalented people say.
"Oh,
Stop that.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
He does not
Shots
speak for all of us.
Immediately.
He does not speak for all of us.
here's what I
He
will
ain't
say.
talking about me.
Here's what I will say. I think we all spent years as numerous different talents. Right. Edit, shoot, produce. I think you do get to a point where you're you're in a space in your industry. People are near you. They specialize in certain things. Mm-hmm. You know, you're the editor of Breaking Bad. The editor of Breaking Bad is likely not going to go DP, you know, Game of Thrones the week after that. Mm-hmm. That person, they're hiring him or her, or they or them. The editor of Breaking Bad is hired as a specialized person for that role. They're likely not the DP next week on Game of Thrones, and the Game of Thrones DP is likely not going to be Lee Gaffer on The Bear next season. You know what I mean? At that level of the game, you are specialized in your role, and I kind of do understand what she's saying. Like, you have to specialize in one. You may be talented in different roles, but eventually at a certain level, you need to specialize in one thing and do that shit well. Like,
I feel like specializing is a luxury. if you are consistently pulling in work, doing one thing, congratulations, you've made it.
Right.
True.
But for most of us, but also it's a luxury of having a project that has a fully staffed crew. If we're talking about a lot of independent projects, people are pulling multiple hats because we have to. There's simply not the budget. So if you were just doing that one thing, then like it feels almost easy.
Very much so.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the dream. Like, oh, all I get to do is direct. I don't have to worry about how everybody's eating today. That's great.
Stay low.
Good.
I was joking about the untalented. Jeez, you guys just give me shit.
Nah,
hey,
own
hey,
it.
audience.
Own it.
It's not what I meant.
No, don't walk it back.
No. What I really meant about that though is that I hate when people tell people that don't do that to do that. For example,
No, that's fair.
me, right? And I'm only saying it from a personal perspective because I've grown up my entire life like this. Hey, just choose one thing, Cliff. Because I was a kid who liked to do everything. That's why my Instagram and all my socials, Cliff does it all. You know why? Because I fucking like to.
Yeah.
And I can. That's the thing. Everybody's not going to be good at everything. Understood, right? You got some people who are really good three-point shooters, but they may not be good rebounders, right? You got some people like LeBron who can do it all, right? But you wouldn't go to LeBron and be like, hey, LeBron, you should probably just score, man. Don't pass the ball. Like, no, I'm good at all these things, so I'm going to do them, and it's going to make me a better player, right? So in the same sense of, as James was saying, sometimes we got to come in the game and wear multiple hats, right? If I didn't wear multiple hats or have multiple lanes, I might not be eating right now. You know what I'm saying? If I couldn't go supervise a movie and then go DP a short, like, I may not be eating.
Yeah.
So it's like, so if somebody say, well, you should just supervise. Okay, I'm going to supervise this movie for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 months. And then when I'm done, if I don't have another movie lined up, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But if I have somebody that I'm like, oh, hey, Cliff, you can AC this thing, right? You can DP this thing, right? You can come gaff this for me, right? Yeah, I can do all those things. So why not? Oh, do you want to be in it too? Absolutely, I can act too. Do you want to make a song for it? Absolutely, I can do that too. And so, as many different streams of revenue as you possibly can have, I'm all for. And if you're good at one thing and good at 10 things, why not be good at all of them?
Let me ask you this then. Cliff does it all, but does Cliff love it all? No,
Actually,
let's go!
Like you, before you answer, truthfully, because I think we get from that point to where we start where, yes, we have to wear all the hats that we need to do the job. And there's a benefit in that because you're learning all the different areas that eventually you won't be running, but you need to be able to communicate. And I think that's a benefit. Then as business owners, you need to learn a lot of things before you have the ability to actually hire out and have all those people. So it's when I hear you say Cliff does it all and he's good at it all, and you are talented. Don't ever get that twisted. You're very talented. But does your cup run empty on certain things if you're not only designed to be in provider mode? So what is it that you actually love versus what you can do? Would be my question to you.
Ooh, good question. So I do love filmmaking. So I love DPing. I love directing. I also love acting. I don't love the production side of supervising. I don't love that at all. I like doing it sometimes. It's for me. It's like it's a level of control, right? It's a level of being able to be at the helm of stuff and be helping and serving and doing all those things. I like that. I don't love that. If I didn't have to do that, I probably wouldn't. Which is why y'all try to get me to talk about it, and I don't really want to. as much because I don't love it, but pretty damn good at it. So if somebody's gonna cut me a check to do it, then I'm gonna do it. And now if you said, right, doing one thing is a luxury, right? If you are so good at something that's all somebody wants you to do and that's all you have to do, you know, if you're a Roger Deakins and they're like, hey, you know you're a great DP and this is all you want to do, come DP this all the time, great. But if Roger said, you know what, I think I want to take photos, who's gonna say, no, Roger, you should just DP? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
No, buddy, you're a great DP. Don't go put out a photo book. No, don't go try to go produce your own movie. Don't go try to, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that gets to me. Is that when people try to tell somebody to stay in a lane. So that's the part that gets me.
But
You know
we
what?
get
love
people that
versus
keep trying to tell us to stay in lanes all the time. Like, for instance, I'm on the flip side of you.
Mm-hmm.
From the time that I graduated from school at IU to me moving down here, I had one single focus, and that was
It
to
was different
be a
in the
DP.
1950s.
You know what? I'm just fucking with you, but you know what? No, that's fair. You know,
Good American values back in the day.
back in my days,
You go to
nah,
school,
like
you go to the war, and you get a job.
I do agree with you though. I hate to say race plays a factor. I didn't want to get into that point, but I think it's a very slippery slope. You know
It
what
is.
I mean? Like,
It is.
because you want to be the best in your field, but you still want to pay those bills.
Right.
But I do feel like the jack of all trades can be held against somebody.
And it 100%.
Absolutely agree.
And bro,
But
that
no,
was
against
that
me.
was the one thing that I ran into down here. It was like literally everybody that I ran into was a jack of all trades. They was the DP, they was the camera op, they was pulling focus, they was doing it all. They was setting up all the lights. They was doing everything, and I kept getting people to try and pull me into that direction. Like, keep trying to say, man, you know, well, can't you run sound? Or can't you do this? Well, do I have to hire you to do this? I mean, can't you do it all? No, I can't. And I'll tell you the reason why I can't. It's because when I look back on my life and I look back on the 10,000 plus hours that I spent studying on this, I want that to not be in vain. Because it takes 10,000 hours for you to become an expert at anything. I want to have 100,000 hours before I die of just saying that I spent 100,000 hours of my life being a DP. And that to me is more important than anything else in the world. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can keep your Oscar, you can keep your Emmy, you can keep all those things. You know, the biggest award that I ever won in my life is for me to receive an ASC award. An award being recognized by my peers, other DPs, other people who are into cinematography the way that I am, who love cinematography the way I am, who says, you know what, kid, you did that thing. And as a black man, that means more to me than anything else in the world. So that for me was my focus. Not knocking your focus, not knocking people who do wear multiple hats. But for me, it's all about lighting, camera. Everything else, yeah, I got a little bit of knowledge about sound. I got a little bit of knowledge about editing. I got enough editing and everything like that. I'm pretty good at it, but I'm slow as hell. Why am I slow as hell? Because I'm not focused on it. You know what I mean? I am focused on being the best DP that I can be.
For anybody out there, definitely find your lane, what works for you.
Yes.
Do what you have to do, but perhaps focus on what you love to do, and that might get you the furthest and where you need to go.
That part.
And if you just happen to be polyamorous, then that's okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
But hold on, because I also want to make sure that it is clear that when we're talking about a jack of all trades, we're talking about someone who does it well. You can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, I can do that, and then you've never done it before, and you're actually pretty shitty at it. Like, take 3 or 4 things and become good at those 3 or 4 things, and let that carry you. But don't sit here and say that you're gonna do. I'm gonna shoot your movie from start to finish by myself because I can do it all. Like, no, it's gonna be shit.
For me though, outside of Cliff, are you seeing that though?
It's funny. Somebody called me recently for a job, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't need audio. You guys can do it yourself." And I'm like, "You should probably want an audio tech. It's a really big job. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's 2-3 cameras. It's a live event. I would suggest no, we're good. You grab the mics and okay, cool. You show up and they're like, you have 2 forms of audio?" I'm like, no, I have 1. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I had an audio person here, you'd have 2 forms of audio. I think it's interesting because you can be a jack of all trades, but you're gonna run into a situation where it's gonna catch you, and you can be good. At some point, you're gonna want to be great. Yeah. And it can keep getting hired in relationships and return clients. The ball's gonna be dropped somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a situation where somebody's like, "Yeah, come out, just you 2 guys." I'm like, I'm bringing the lighting guy. I'm gonna pay him out of my budget. It's gonna be a better quality production, a better look. It's a slippery goddamn slope. Be a jack of all trades, but eventually you want to get to a place where you don't have to be. You can produce dope stuff the right way. You know what I mean? So I think we're all in agreement. Like, you definitely want to know everything, but maybe you want to know enough to communicate how it needs to go the right way eventually as you grow in your career. I think that might be the goal. And again, James is right. That shit is a luxury. Right? Like, I don't gotta do audio. I don't gotta be on set like, woo, like Crafty's here.
Because the struggle is so real.
I have a question. You said do it the right way and to be great. How many people are great?
That's a lot.
When I can set up some lights, it's gonna look nice. Can I set up lights the same way as Mike or Carlos? Possibly not. My focus is more so on editing. I'm gonna give you an amazing frame. Collectively, with the 4 of us, 5 of us on set, is gonna be an incredible frame.
Listen.
Absolutely. Certain people specialize in certain things in different ways. And I'm the first person to be like, no, that person's the expert in that. I may have a skill in landing clients. That might be my talent. I'm saying it's like my talent may be finding the money, organizing the team, producing, doing the edit on the back end. Might have somebody else who's great at audio. I have audio, I have lob kits, I got boom mics. Am I gonna be a skill that's James on set? Probably not.
Right. But I've said this in previous things, right? There's a level of you want to do stuff and you want to do it the best that you can, right? But at the end of the day, who really gives a fuck?
I'll take
When that audio
To
comes,
a degree, right? If we watch movies, we watch TV shows, right? How many great TV shows have you seen?
A lot.
A lot.
Okay. How many shitty ones have you seen?
A lot
more.
less. I've seen less shitty TV shows than I've seen great TV shows.
All right, we're not
because
talking to
great
Michael.
is a measure.
We're not talking about
Because great's objective.
yeah, correct.
Right?
I've definitely
Great.
seen more shitty than great.
Right.
It's subjective.
It's very subjective. It
If you turn on the TV right now and start flipping through the channels, right now, are you gonna see a whole bunch of great shit or a whole bunch of meh?
It's subjective, bro.
I'm
Because
asking.
your version of meh is my version of greatness. Like, for instance, shows that got canceled. I'll name one just, again, spinning off the top of my head. Fox had this show many moons ago. I'm not going to show my age. It was called Space Above and Beyond. Fucking love this show. It ran for 1 season. Fox canceled it. Another show, Firefly. Great show. Cult following. Everybody loved this show. canceled it because some executive said, it's meh to me.
But that's not what I'm saying, though. I'm not talking about stuff that's subjective, right? I'm not talking about stuff that you see, this is my cup of tea versus that's your cup of tea, right? I'm talking about you watch stuff like you watch The Penguin, right? You watch The Penguin and The Penguin is great. But then you can watch anything else and it's just like, that's dog shit.
Well, because you're comparing it to The Penguin.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Great versus everything else.
But in comparison
everything else gets worked on, and everything else gets paid to be on, and everything else gets, like, you don't have to be the fucking greatest person of all time. You don't have to win Oscars, and you don't have to win Emmys. You have to just be good at your job.
But no one goes into anything, and that's the thing. No one should go into anything saying, I'm going to do just enough to get it done.
That's not what I said.
You should
You just
always
might not be that good.
Okay, that's fine.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it.
But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't work your ass off.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, bro, you got me confused.
I'm saying
in terms of jack of all trades.
Okay,
how
for
does that compare?
for example, right?
Yeah.
I go to the gym every day. I work on my handles all day. I work on my jump shot all day. I don't get drafted number 1. I might go in the second round. I might not get drafted at all. But I work really hard all the time. Does that mean I shouldn't hoop no more? Because I'm not the number 1 draft pick? No. Everybody ain't going to be the number 1 draft pick. So what I'm saying is, no matter how hard you work, you just might not be great. And that's okay. It's okay to just be good at what you do.
But
it's okay to just do what you can do as good as you can do it.
I get that. I get the core of what you're saying in your argument. But where I'm getting lost is the fact that, okay, if we're going to strive to do what we want to do, we got to understand, at least in the perspective of filmmaking, we have shows that have $100 million budget. So most of the time they can be really good. So let's say, for the sake of argument, Penguin's really good. And they knew they had to make it really good because the movie was really good, right?
Before you even go into that, the Penguin is going to go out and hire a production company who's going to hire the best DP humanly fucking possible. They're not going to hire some guy who's doing the best he can with what he has.
To my point, because he's following up from Greg Fraser in that movie.
Right.
But to the point, though, is one, it goes back to audience. There's an audience. We can say names of certain producers, and we can say names of certain directors, and we can say name of their projects, and we can call them trash if we want to. That's a personal opinion for anybody. It can be trash. Does it serve an audience? It's proving statistically it's serving the audience. So it's going to live in this space because it's hitting another objective. It's not hitting this is a good content. It's hitting, this is the number, this is generating money, this is revenue. So I understand that point, where I don't want your mind to focus to lower the bar, just saying, okay, if it's going to be okay to get to this space without me having to exert the best possible ability, because I know I'm not going to be the number 1 draft pick, that I feel is a fallacy in the thought process, because just because we have a lot of avenues of content exposure now shouldn't lower the bar of the quality that we put into it.
But that's not, y'all are missing the point. That's not what I'm saying.
You know what? I do
I'm
understand
not
what you're
saying
saying.
don't go hard. I'm not saying don't try to make this thing the best that you can make it. I'm just saying that everybody can't be great. It don't matter how much fucking work you put into it. It don't matter how many 10,000 hours. It don't take everybody 10,000 hours to be an expert. It takes certain people 10,000 hours to be an expert. Some people just have it.
But here's the
It didn't
thing,
take
we're
LeBron
not
10,000 to be an expert. The nigga just woke up and he was 6'8", 260. Like,
I think
that's
it
just
depends on
greatness.
what you're trying to do. You're trying to go create some social media video. I understand that perspective 100%. Depending on where you want to be in your career, that's not gonna fly. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think it depends on, people are risking their jobs on who they're hiring and why they're hiring them. You know what I mean? I think your analogy works in reality spaces, even like true crime. True crime, I don't think they're gonna hire the best people at all times. They have the budget, get a good camera guy, that's some like, you know, different creation stuff. They're recreating a situation. You don't need you don't need the guy from Snowfall to do your true crime show. I think you can get a B team, a C team, make that work. A&E's gonna reach their goals, reach their audience. It's gonna be a great show. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, A&E's gonna hire somebody with some prior recreation experience, some directing experience, like in-house relationship. Like, is it the best work possible? Probably not. That team is not gonna risk their careers over hiring just some random person doing the best they can. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
also
Like,
too,
But that's
for
not,
me,
y'all are completely missing the point of what
No,
I'm
no,
trying
no,
to
we
I get what
understand
you're saying.
you.
This is
We
different levels
get what
of
you're
it.
saying. Well, what
Absolutely.
like what I'm looking at I'm looking at it from a perspective of, like, to use your basketball analogy. No, everybody's not going to be able. I don't care how much you practice and everything like that. You're not going to make it to the first round. That's cool, but then there's also the X factor that's not being focused in on this is talent. Some people have a gift. Now, I'm not saying that I am the most gifted DP in the world. I don't know whether or not I'm the most gifted DP in the world because world hasn't had me on their stage yet. So I don't know. But what I do know in my heart and in my core, I feel like what you do in this life is, and I hate to use like the analogy from the Matrix here, but it's just like being in love. You know it from balls to bone. You know when you're in love. You know whether or not you are the one. You know whether or not you have the talent necessary to do this skill. Now, whether or not you are going to apply yourself. Like, Michael Jordan knew that he was a great basketball player. That did not stop him from putting in hours. Kobe Bryant knew that he was a great basketball player. It did not stop him from putting in countless hours, practicing. After every single game, he still continued that practice. Why? Because the love and the drive of, I have a gift. And it's disgusting if I sit there and just like, I'm gifted, you know, I don't have to work hard at it because I'm gifted. No, he's going to keep the work.
You guys are completely missing the point.
You're
missing the point.
I
The
kind of
point
see what
is
you're
that
saying.
it don't matter how often, how much love, how many times, how much hours, you can put your all into something and not be the best at it.
I think
That
what
is
should
what
those
I'm
people
trying
do?
to say.
So what should
So
those
don't
people
be deterred from doing that thing, right? Just because I'm not the greatest DP doesn't mean that I'm not busting my ass trying to be as good as I can be.
Okay, yeah.
So I need to be able to do whatever I want to do and go hard at it and still be able to make a living off of it or do whatever I want because that's what I love to do.
But you should be getting better.
Absolutely.
So that's one piece. And so, like, when this whole conversation, because I know there are some people out there who are in the game who are doing it and have gotten some deals on some networks that shall not be named. And who I've watched them on an interview after their movie went out, and they were like, I came in this scene and I was just like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And there are people out here who have that mentality who are like, oh, I can do it all. So I think it's dangerous to say, if you're not great, keep going. But if you're not great, make sure you're getting better. And keep pushing.
That's 100%.
Keep pushing.
But
Yeah.
your ceiling can still just be here.
Yeah.
Like
And if it is, when you get on that big project, you better call somebody else.
But the thing that confuses me, is I kind of get what you're saying in the sense of, okay, if we put Michael Jordan at this scale, this is Michael Jordan. The closest to after Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, in terms of talent, in terms of success, in terms of being the highest. That means probably over 3,000 players have come in the NBA and they didn't get to that level. And they did everything as far as practicing, giving their best, or whatever the case may be. The thing I agree with James is, the dangerous part of that is, especially hearing it come from your mindset, it feels pessimistic because it feels like there's no focus there, because it's coming from a place of no focus because you can do it all. Versus someone who says, so the reason Michael Jordan retired is because he wanted to go play baseball and dominate baseball at the same time, because he was just a competitive person. Kobe Bryant was just competitive at basketball. Like, that was his focus. He didn't do anything else. He didn't bet Michael Jordan outside of basketball. He didn't go bet Michael Jordan who's the best golfer. Jordan was just competitive. That was his nature. He wanted to be at top of everything.
Right, and so what about all the people who told Jordan, don't go play baseball. You're only good at basketball.
He politely gave him the finger, and he then went to play baseball.
Exactly,
But
and
he
he went and he
sucked at
played it
baseball.
extremely mediocrely.
Yeah.
But he sucked at baseball.
But he still did it.
But he did it, but he ain't have to secure his family on some baseball
Yeah,
check. They were
bro.
already good.
And he came back twice.
But
No,
he came
bro.
back to the
Here's
because
the
we're
Here's the
talking
thing, bro.
about
I understand
going-
what you're saying. I'm not talking. You can go have fun. You
Yeah.
can go create with your friends. You can go do whatever you want to do. Are you gonna be able to pay your bills? That, like, bro, like being.
But that's what I'm saying. There are people paying their bills that are horrible at
and
their
there are a lot
job.
of people who aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the same
That ain't the
time.
model to follow.
You know what
I'm
I'm
not
saying?
saying we should follow the model. That's not what
No,
I'm saying.
I
You
understand
guys
what
are
you're
missing-
saying, bro.
missing
I'm
the
talking
point.
about reaching a certain level in your career. Bro, go do whatever you want to do. You may not be the best editor, you may not be the best shooter, you may not be the best anything. Still go create. I agree with you on that. If you want to reach a certain level of your career, you're going to be judged off of the amount of work you put into maybe one or two specific things. Right. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. It's do whatever you want to do, just understand the risk you're taking at that time. Issa Rae is great. Issa Rae went hard on her YouTube series and it worked out for her. Like, that was dope. Like, there's a lot of YouTube series that it hasn't worked out like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, everybody doesn't have that same path. That's what I'm saying. Like, be creative, just be careful. Wrapping out this week, we have the hot take of the week. We're all gearheads here. We love the newest, latest audio technology. I think one thing we don't like is misuse. It's hard to say what we don't like and what everybody else should do, but the lavalier was built for a certain specific reason. I just want to, and technology has got to a point where it's coming in pieces and you can just snap it on and, do what you do. Ooh, James, how you feel about the situation these days?
So when you know better, you do better. And I think a lot of people just don't know any better.
That's fair. People may not know.
You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people do things so they can get things done. And I'm not knocking anything, but I just know that when it comes to a filmmaker, and then also you don't judge like social media content on the same level. I know they don't know. That's why they have it in the places that they have. But you want to get your audio as close to the person's vocal box as possible without any type of interference. So placements on things like putting it on hats,
Here we go.
putting it on chains. Oh man, like
Sometimes, but
especially
if I see a golfer, he's on the course, they throw it on the hat. Might be a workout person. It's,
but the thing is that
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. You know what I mean?
but the point is that because what's really popular right now are the Rode GoPros. You'll see those everywhere, little square boxes, and people just clip them on. They're like, oh, it's great. But Mike, you have a pair of the Rode GoPros, right?
the Rode Pro.
And with the Rode GoPros comes, as a part of the package, a lavalier mic.
It comes with a lavalier mic. I ain't even gonna lie. For me, I'm gonna use a lavalier mic, but I'm also being full transparency. I have used that, and I've attached it to a boom pole
Oh.
once or twice. I'm not even. I'm just saying full transparency.
But see,
bro.
this
You
goes
weren't
back-
being
great,
great.
Mike.
This
I
goes
wasn't
back-
being great.
You
I wasn't being great at that
This
moment.
goes back to the jack of all trades.
But I'm not an audio guy.
He stated very specifically and explicitly that he is a DP. And so, again, when you know better, you do better. But if the people don't know, that's fine. The point is they're making their content, they're doing what they need to do. But for filmmakers, if you're doing this bullshit, get your life together. Don't be Lord.
Let me ask you this though: how much is it, or who's at fault more? The people who are utilizing what they need to do, like Flash said, or is it the companies who are now dumbing down their devices? And I can say that from a camera perspective, where photography used to be manual. It was manual for decades.
Right.
And then the adaptation of auto came into play.
I am never going to knock innovation and technology. I think with the invention of Khomari's favorite thing, ChatGPT, it's given a lot of access to a lot of people, and it's the same thing.
ChatGPT sponsor of the Camera Speed podcast.
I'm waiting on it. I'm literally waiting on it.
But
Free
you know what I'm saying?
promo.
Like with the advent of all these different tools, you know, it's making it more accessible, but that does not circumvent the need to learn said tools. Just because you have a ChatGPT business model doesn't mean that you take that and you submit that and you go get hundreds of thousands of dollars to start your business. No, you still have to tailor that to whatever it is that you are trying to build. And it's the same thing with any of the gear that comes out. It may not be as difficult as it was before, but it doesn't mean that you need to learn it any less. Let's talk about editing. They used to have to manually draw animations, and now you can do renders. Now, does that mean that any of us understand how to do 3D rendering on models for animations? Probably not. So, okay, let me rephrase. Most of us don't, but
Part of the 1%, Mike.
part of the 1%. Yeah, be great. But the point is that
Can't
you
wait to get
still
that on
have
the shirt.
to go and learn the tool and utilize it to the fullest extent of its capabilities.
I think if the company built that piece of audio like that, maybe they are. You can go. I got a Hollyland set. You can slap your
The lavalier mic?
no the wind.
Oh, the
Oh,
windscreen.
You slap your windscreen on top of that.
Dead cat.
That's how they built it.
Yeah, so it's an option, and so these things that they have it built in for are for options. So for situations where you might not be able to go ahead and do a full setup and mic somebody up, tape them down. If you're working on somebody's wedding day, right?
I see what you're saying.
And
if you're in the field,
if you're in the field
what
and
you
you
gotta
need
do.
something quick and you
Yeah.
want to make sure you have something that's at least usable, by all means, slap that bitch on there.
have you
and
seen
get
a
what you
movie
need.
where somebody has like the box on there on like a
In a
actual-
movie?
Oh,
It
I've
better
seen it.
fucking. Oh,
Have you?
I've seen it on. Yeah, I've seen it in the movies.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
I've seen boom poles in movies. I've
Well,
seen
see,
boom
that's
mics
different.
in
That's-
movies.
okay, that's
I've seen
different.
lav mics in movies.
Yeah, but no,
but
like
we're not talking about just the box.
Oh, just the.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just the box.
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
So
sure it's
there's
out
a-
there somewhere.
there's
I'm
a
pretty
level.
sure it is,
I'm
though.
100%.
I'm sure we'll catch it
90%
somewhere.
positive.
Matter of fact,
it
we
is
gonna
in
this is
somebody-
our challenge to everybody
To be.
watching this. Find us a clip of some movie where they got one of those road square GoPros and they talking that way. But the point being is that yes, so there are applications that they built these things specifically for, and for those types of filmmakers, by all means, utilize what you have. But if you're going to go into this industry and you're going to be great, you need to learn the applications in which it needs to be applied.
Oh, you ain't never living this
No,
down.
I am. Hey,
I don't care.
Can I throw out another hot take real quick? Because this is gonna be fast, I promise. And I want Carlos to take this. I'm just gonna tee it up.
It's already not fast.
I was like, throw to somebody else. Oh,
Because it's really it really grinds my fucking gears. Stop pointing your lights at the wall and calling that a bounce. Go. Carlos.
Swing back to you.
Listen, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people get like these cheap little LED lights, and they'll sit there and it's like, oh, we're shooting a movie, and then you just gonna point the light at a wall and then point the light over here at this other corner and say, okay, let's shoot a scene. What is that? That's not lighting.
Listen, like Cliff said, be good, not great. Point that shit at the wall. Do whatever the fuck you need to do.
Look, that's okay for your first movie.
Listen,
Stop shit.
If it's your very first movie, that's okay. But then you take the time, you go learn something. And Cliff said this in a previous segment, where spend the time to go and do the research, learn, get better at your craft. And if that's what you did on the first one, learn something new to do something different on your next one.
Okay, well, in that argument, then sometimes that
Again,
person putting that
if
love
they
out
put it
there,
on
that's
there that first time,
that may have been the first time that they did it, though.
And the first thing that said in the segment is, if you don't know better, okay. But once you've done that, somebody better tell you something. Otherwise, you just got a bunch of yes men in your corner, and that's a whole nother segment.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
man, that's the topic for another day. I think the DSLR wave, cheaper cameras leads to ease of use mentally, but it doesn't necessarily lead to ease of education. And I think we can get into that for another episode for sure.
100%.
Hot takes this week: learn your audio equipment and stop pointing lights at the wall. That is not what you want to be doing. This has been a dope episode. It's been filled with various opinions. That's for sure. Tap in the comments below. Let us know what you think, how you feel about some of the things that were said. What are your opinions on learning how to be better in your own craft? And let us know what you think. Thank you again for having us on your TV screens and in your ear. Check us out on all popular podcast platforms. If you see us in the streets or on set, say what's up.